Hello. So I thought I would talk about personality types and personality in general. So I think it's interesting. I don't put 100% into it because of the fact it is based off of psychology. Psychology at its basics is based off of humanism theories. Humanism is very much against God, very much the opposite. It's all, kind of like atheists and agnostics that put trust in themselves instead of a higher power. So I don't put a whole lot of stock into it, but I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I do put a little bit of validity into it because there's some truths even in like when you think about what Satan was tempting Jesus with in the desert, he was actually using scriptures from Psalms and twisting it, taking it out of context to tempt Jesus. Like when he was tempting him to throw himself off the cliff and commit suicide, he was like, the angels will catch you lest you dash your foot, things like that. And Jesus had to be like, no, you're not to tempt God. So basically it's a pseudoscience. It's not perfect. It is humanistic and it is proud, and it's not godly at all. It's not godly wisdom. It's not like a proverb. It's not 100%. So there are things to me that make you, which make you unique. So circumstances, accidents, trauma, genetics, nurturing, how you were raised, nature versus nurture. So different things can make you you. There are different things too. Your environment, your education, your religion, your ancestry, all those things go to shape who you are. So experiences, everything. People around you, even friends, jobs, everything can affect who you are. Your brain continues to grow until you're 25. At 25 is pretty much set. So there's no more growth, but your development as far as your brain, that's it. So my personality is INTJ and Enneagram Type 5. So INTJ, so basically introvert, intuitive, thinker, judge. So judge not like, I'm judging you. I am critical and thinking about everything about you. I'm opinionated. That's not what J means. Judge basically means organized versus someone who is maybe INTP. So P would be perceiver. So those kind of people are more spontaneous. They're not organized. They can have a clean home in some organization, but not always. So sometimes you'll see them and sometimes they'll be messy and seem out of sorts. Those sorts too are the types that are like, hey, let's get into the Jeep and go across country and, just not even bring a suitcase or a plan. Versus me, I'm like, oh my God, I've got to pack and know every single detail so I can plan and be prepared for any kind of circumstance that could arise. I like to have a plan. I like to be ready. I like to know what I'm getting into ahead of time so I can feel, okay, I can handle this. It's not a control thing. It's, I want to be able to handle this and deal with it rationally and not feel like, oh my God, and be overwhelmed. So I hopefully that explains what that means. So my personality type, I'm not always like harsh and logical or like Spock. Have I had times where people have compared me to that? Yes. My ex-boyfriend would say I was aloof, but that was when I was tired of his BS. So, of course, you're going to be aloof at some point. Well, I was anyway. I was just kind of like, I don't really care one way or the other. You're just trying to get a rise out of me, so I'm not giving you any of that. I'm not giving you attention. I'm not going to give you a bunch of emotions. I'm just going to, don't care. So, I guess an example of where I was kind of harsh logically and should have kept my thoughts to myself and not said them out loud would have been with my former friend, coworker, the one that had an affair with that married guy that had the miscarriage. So she was in her 40s at the time, and I was younger, and this was like, I would say maybe around 2009, 2010. I was kind of stupid and should have used my head more to not speak so loudly about what I was thinking. But when she told me she had a miscarriage and she blamed the VA and said, they did something to my baby, blah, blah, blah. And she kept trying to blame them because she didn't want to take responsibility. She didn't want to blame the guy that ghosted her and changed his number and took away all his social medias and ghosted her as soon as she told him that she had that she was pregnant. And then, of course, she tried to get word to him that it was a miscarriage. But anyway, when she told me that, I was against the relationship from day one. When she told me he was married and had 4 kids. And so when she told me all this stuff and I listened to her and she blamed the VA and all that, I told her, I'm sorry, but God did you a favor. And, you know, at least you don't have to worry about being stuck to that guy. You don't have to worry about chasing him down for child support. You don't have to worry about if the kid is going to have Down syndrome because you're in your 40s getting pregnant. So that was kind of harsh. I probably should have kept all that to myself, and I didn't. So so that is an example of kind of the harshness of INTJ, you know, especially when it comes to personal relationships. Now with work, I fake it way more. I try to keep to myself, and I try to like fake being an ENFJ as best I can. I try to, I mean, you could tell I'm still an introvert because I like to work alone and do things alone, but I try my best to fake it. It's hard. It's exhausting. It's really exhausting not being able to be myself. Yeah. And to those guys, those 2 young guys that like to make fun of me, yes, my walls are blank. I do have things on my walls. I do collect things. But it's none of your business, and I don't have to showcase them behind me. I just don't feel the need. And, you know, most of your videos that you make where you're, like, saying stuff in reaction and, like, you know, getting your content from watching me, that's great, you know. But most of your views are pity views. The thing is I came across you like all the people that I come across that are pity views on TikTok. You know, there's certain accounts that TikTok pushes for pity views because they're pity cases. You feel sorry for these people. So that being said, I'm just going to move on. That was probably also harsh, but I've just been ignoring it and laying back and watching for too long, and they mentioned some more specific things, and I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to let you keep being passive aggressive. I'm going to address this right now. So anyway, which is another thing. I don't respect passive aggressive behavior in games, manipulation, lies. I'm a very direct, call it as you see it. You know, I respect authenticity. I respect genuineness. And I like that more out of a person. I like rugged, hardworking, all that. And it's probably because I am from Detroit. My dad was blue collar. My dad's personality type was ENTP. And he did have the gift of gab. He was very charismatic and people loved him. And with that, you have to have an element of being manipulative, I guess. But he was a straight shooter and very direct. So it wasn't his... It wasn't in him to be, you know, fake. He was very authentic. You knew what he thought. So that's where I get how I am, except I'm an introvert. I'm not an extrovert like he was. Like, I like some people, but a majority exhaust me. I don't want the limelight. I don't like being the center of attention. All of that exhausts me. So It's not social anxiety. It's truly, I don't get my energy from being around people. I get it from being alone in my thoughts. That's how you know if you're an introvert versus having social anxiety. If you actually get charged and feel happy and feel energized by being around people, you're an extrovert. Now, if a crowd makes you anxious and uncomfortable and you're self-conscious about stuff about yourself, yes, you have social anxiety. If you're feeling like your palms are sweating and all that kind of stuff, heart palpitations, that's social anxiety. That's not introverted. Introverted, I can be around a ton of people and I'm okay because I don't care about majority of them, but I do want to go home because I'm annoyed. I just want to be away from all these stupid people. I just want to be by myself. Not all the time. I do like company of people, you know, but I'm selective and particular about who I want to spend my time with. So that's that. So hopefully that makes sense. But you know, they do portray INTJs as kind of the villain or anti-hero, like Batman. I definitely relate to him in so many ways. So he is definitely INTJ, but also Lex Luthor. He's an INTJ. So yes, there can be some good ones, there can be some bad ones, but that's with every population. Like the Joker, he is definitely an ENTP gone wrong. Like he is like he does some crazy stuff and laughs about it. He kills people and then he laughs like it's a joke, you know. He'll like hold a gun to Batman and then it says bang on it, you know, as a joke, you know, when deep down inside he probably does want to kill Batman, but he also wants to screw with him and troll him. Typical ENTP. But ENTPs too, they some of them have the gift of gab and are like really fantastic lawyers. Some of them are really fantastic at coming up with unique things. Like they're good businessmen. They're good at coming up with unique ideas and creating things and gadgets. So all that kind of stuff. So anyway, and then ancestry definitely plays a role into it. I've mentioned before I'm Swiss through my granddad, and Swiss people tend to be reserved and quiet and polite. Definitely ingrained in my personality that trickled down from family. And my professor that I had in grad school said he could tell I was Jewish. And one student said, so when you're dealing with someone who's Jewish, are they always argumentative? And I was like offended by that. I was like, I'm not argumentative. I do question because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to question. You're not supposed to just lay down and just agree with everything. You're supposed to, you know, question the status quo. You're supposed to question, you know, what is going on. If something in your gut goes red flag, alarm, 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 you should be questioning it. You shouldn't be just being quiet and going along with it. You know, that's groupthink. So like JFK, he wanted to go the opposite direction of the Cuban Missile Crisis, and groupthink forced him into going along with the whole room that was going, no, we should do this, we should do this. So groupthink is terrible. It's peer pressure at its worst, especially when it comes to government. So it doesn't matter if you're Jewish or not. If you have no Jewish ancestry, if your personality type is to question the status quo, that's good. You shouldn't just ignore things and go along with it like the rest of the sheep, as they say. You know, you should be, you know, concerned and want to question things and want to have answers to it and want other people to think also and challenge people, you know, challenge them to go, okay, this doesn't seem right and this shouldn't go away quietly. So, you know, that's a good thing. And so a good lawyer has that trait. So the bad lawyers are the ones that stay quiet in court, like the ones from my car accident that just looked at her fingernails and said nothing when the judge and the opposite lawyer, the lawyer for the opposing team that hit me, were saying all kinds of stuff. So yeah, anyway. But yeah, personality things they can be a strength, but you shouldn't use that as a crutch, and you also shouldn't stay stagnant. You should want to grow, and you should know your limitations and things that need to be continually to be worked on. And trust me too, if you're a Christian like I am, God will definitely work on your personality, and he will definitely work on your characteristics. So more so than your personality, he will work on your characteristics. So that's a totally different thing than personality. Characteristics are more like things that match who he is. So love, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control, the fruits of the Spirit. We get that from God, our Father. So just like you get genetics and certain things and personality type and things that trickle down from your family, if you're a Christian, you should also reflect God and have things that become you that are from God, that are his attributes, that are his characteristics, that were not likely to be from you, or definitely not from your family, especially not my family. Most of my family are agnostic and atheists. Case in point, my granddad's family came from Switzerland, and Switzerland, my granddad's family, like a long line of Swiss people. A knight was one of the original founders that went over to Switzerland and helped to create that country. And the fact that Muslims came in and forced my granddad's family out, and they were Methodists, and the fact that my granddad, however, what happened to him as a kid, he became an atheist and didn't want to believe in God. And so certain circumstances can really turn you hard, and either just like what Jesus was talking about, the parables with the seeds. So some things in your life can either soften your heart and make you go, okay, this is a tragedy, but I know God is going to be glorified in the end, and he's going to, restore me or heal me or whatever, and change me and develop me in some way and give me something even greater than what I had in the past. Or you can be hardened like my granddad and be angry at the world and angry at God and think there is no God because of what's happened to you and everything. So what happened with my granddad? So of course I already told you about his Swiss roots, but also part of him is he was also Scottish and Jewish. So, but during the Great Depression era, his father died. They had 10 kids. His father died. They were wealthy and had oil, and the government came and capped them all and took it. So my granddad was left with his mother and his siblings on a farm that they could not afford. They were poor and impoverished, and they had to really climb their way out of that situation. And my ancestor through him, Katz, changed their name coming from Germany. It was Katz, and they changed it coming to America to Catts because of the whole discrimination against Jews. So what happened was the poor lady, which gets into Judea, why Jewish people take the names the way they do. So Scottish people, you go by your clan, by your dad's side, and Jewish, you go by who your family tribe is through the maternal side. So the maternal side for him, Katz, Katz, which is also a derivative of Cohen, both come from the tribe of Levi. And if you know anything about the Levites, they were priests. So they were the priests of Israel. So what happened to the poor woman in one of the lines with the cats, she was raped. And so that during the diaspora, that's why it goes by maternal, because there was so much raping when the Romans took over Israel and scattered them to all the nations. That's why you go by the maternal side, because so many were raped that you didn't know who the father was. So that's a little bit of ancestry or a little bit of history for you. The Romans, Roman Catholics, when they took over the temple in Israel, they burned the temple with 3,000 men, women, and children inside. Just a horrible, horrible, horrible thing. And then dispersed them in enslavement, as the nice word diaspora, enslaved to all the different countries that they ended up in. So that's why, and two, why is Israel so important to Jews? It's because they don't want another World War II. They want their own homeland so that they're not forced into death camps because of who they are. They just want a homeland of their own to go to so that they're not persecuted. So hopefully that makes sense to you. But yeah, that still shapes me. My mom's side, tribe of Judah. So totally different than my dad. My dad's tribe of Levi. My mom is tribe of Judah. So just interesting. And then, like I said, Scottish. So my granddad was Scottish and Swiss and Jewish. And then my mom was Jewish and English. What a combination. What ancestry, when you go through those lines. And funny enough, I was told all my life when I was little that I was a throwback, and that both sides had Native American ancestry. There was no Native Americans in any of the bloodlines or any of the surnames or any of the ancestry stories that I could see and research. And I got my research from looking at census data, from looking at birth and death certificates, and just continuing that way to trace as far as I can go back. So there's a lot of Americans actually that believe they have Native American blood when in fact they don't. And I don't know why. There's stories that trickle down to make you think that you have Native American blood, but a lot of people that think they do actually don't. And so not an ounce of Native American blood, and shock to me finding out that actually both sides had Jewish. So no Native American blood at all, but there was Jewish blood. So that was really surprising. I mean, both sides already knew that, like my dad knew Scottish and Irish and Swiss. I mean, he was very proud of that. But he didn't know about the Jewish. My mom, she knew about her Jewish, but she didn't mention anything else. And she just, I don't know, for some reason she thought too there was Cherokee in her blood. I don't even know why she thought that. There's not anything to indicate that. So, it's interesting to find that out, but it's important because then you see family patterns and you see what's happened. You also see some diseases that affected your family. So that's another reason it's important to do your research on your family so you can know what genetic things might be in your blood, like cancer especially, and things like that, and just hardships that seem almost like a curse, or just maybe a generational demonic attack. I definitely believe that. If you don't believe in demons, sorry, but they're real. Those are the spirits that are all around that cause mischief that people think are ghosts. There's no such thing as a ghost. People, when they die, they go to sleep. And so when Jesus returns, they will wake up and be reunited first, and then the rest of us will rise up with him. So that's what it says in the Bible. There's nothing to indicate in the Bible that there's a ghost. When you die, you either go to hell, you go to sleep. So, and hell is a real place. I don't believe it is actually ready yet. I think that once Jesus locks Satan, the demons, and people that chose not to believe in him up for 7,000 or however many that means years, that is a real place. So I think basically people are just asleep, until those times come. So, I think that's why some people experience just nothing when they die. I think they're going to sleep. So I think but unfortunately, atheists and agnostics take that as there's no God and no heaven. I don't believe that. I think they're just going to sleep because that's what it says in the Bible. I do think there is a heaven, but I don't think it's the heaven that we're going to realize and see. So I do think that although some Christians have experienced that, I don't think that the heaven that we're meant to see and live in, I don't think that is going to be the level that we see yet. I think we have limited access. So kind of like, I don't know, limited seating, like when you go in a place and you're like, okay, I have to sit over here, this area is off limits. So I think that certain areas, because of fact, everything hasn't happened yet, it is the way it is. So anyway, yeah, spirituality definitely shapes you. Sorry to get off on all my rabbit trails. Hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully you'll take a test. I'll probably link some things in my video, so you can go and take a test if you'd like. It's very interesting. It helps you understand yourself, but I would definitely encourage you to also look into your ancestry. Very informative, very interesting, and it does affect you. Like I said, the Muslims persecuting my Swiss ancestors and forcing them out of Switzerland, that definitely affected my family. And my granddad, having his dad die during the Great Depression era, that affected him as a kid and made him bitter and made him angry at God. Things definitely can affect people. So do your research, find out about your family. It makes a difference in helping you to understand and have compassion, especially for your family. If you have anger towards them or don't understand them. And it helps you to, if you know more about personality types too, it helps you to type people around you so you can understand and get along with them better. So whether it be family, friends, or coworkers, it helps you to understand them better. So like, my mom was definitely not an empath. My mom was definitely a sensor. She was definitely an introvert, but I would say she was an ISTP probably. She was an ISTP. Completely different from my dad, completely different from me. My dad was definitely intuitive. I'm definitely intuitive. So it does make a difference understanding that versus, whatever. So it helps you understand your family members more. So anyway, hopefully that puts you on the right path, or I don't know, maybe not, but hopefully you found it interesting. Thanks for watching.